My uncle forged a power of attorney, used it to drain my father's savings over 14 months while my father was in memory care, and had already begun transferring the family property into his own name by the time I discovered what was happening. I found out because I asked one simple question no one had thought to ask before. Who has been signing these checks? I am Patrick. I am 43, and my father has been living in a memory care facility in Phoenix for the past 3 years following an Alzheimer's diagnosis. When he entered care, my uncle, his younger brother, volunteered to manage the financial and legal affairs. He had a notary license. He had proximity. He seemed like the natural person to step in. We were grateful. We were wrong to be grateful without looking closely. I am not a lawyer. I am an electrician. But I visited my father every Sunday, and about 16 months into his time in memory care, I noticed something that did not sit right. The facility billing coordinator mentioned, casually, that the payment method on file had recently changed to a different checking account than the one my father had always used. I asked her when that had happened. She told me 11 months earlier. My father had been in memory care for 11 months when that change was made. He could not have authorized it himself. I asked my uncle about it that weekend. He told me it was simply an administrative convenience, that he had set up a dedicated account for care expenses to make tracking easier. It was a reasonable explanation. I almost accepted it. Instead, I asked him to send me the account statements. He did not send them. I filed a request with the county probate court for a formal accounting of my father's financial affairs under Arizona's adult protective statutes, which allow immediate family members to petition for financial review when a vulnerable adult's affairs are being managed by another party. The petition cost $40 and took 2 days to file. What the court-ordered accounting revealed over the next 8 weeks was systematic and deliberate. The power of attorney document filed in my father's name had been notarized by my uncle himself, a clear conflict of interest that should have disqualified the document under state law, and had been executed while my father was already showing documented cognitive decline, a period during which he lacked the legal capacity to grant such authority. Over 14 months, $112,000 had been moved out of my father's accounts in amounts designed to stay below the bank's automatic review threshold. A separate title transfer filing had been initiated on my father's property, which had not yet completed. I contacted Arizona's Adult Protective Services and the State Attorney General's Elder Abuse Unit simultaneously. My uncle was investigated on 3 parallel tracks: elder financial abuse under state statute, fraud, and abuse of a notarial act. The title transfer was halted by emergency injunction within 72 hours of my petition. The forged power of attorney was invalidated. A court-appointed guardian was assigned to manage my father's affairs. My uncle was charged with elder financial abuse, exploitation of a vulnerable adult, and fraudulent notarization, a felony under Arizona law because he had used his own notary license to authenticate a document he himself had prepared and benefited from. He pleaded guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to 3 years in state prison, 5 years of supervised probation, and ordered to make full restitution. $112,000 returned to my father's estate. The property transfer was unwound completely. My father's home remains in his name. I want to be direct with every person reading this who has an elderly parent, grandparent, or family member in care. Visit regularly. Ask questions the caregivers themselves would not know to ask. Request financial records. If someone who is managing a vulnerable person's affairs goes quiet when you ask for documentation, that silence is your answer. You do not need a lawyer to file an APS report or a probate accounting petition. You need $40 and the willingness to ask who has been signing the checks. My uncle had 14 months before I asked. He did not get a 15th. If you believe the people who raised us deserve to be protected when they can no longer protect themselves, subscribe. A new story of justice every single week. I will see you there.